Good afternoon, Christine.
Hello,
How are you
hello.
today? Right, good
I am
afternoon. Yes.
blessed and feeling
Well,
amazing.
well, wonderful, wonderful. I've been taking in some of the Alec Murdoch live um
The court case.
because today. I was listening today. I always listen to like follow-ups, but replays. But today I was listening to the live thing. So you're gonna get into a little bit of that today, right? So
Mm,
let's get our. There's a lot to talk about. So let's get our intro going and we'll get started. Okay.
okay.
Living life on the merry-go-round, and you can't find a fighter. But I see it in you, so we gon' walk it out. Ooh, mountain, we gon' walk it out, and mountain. And I'll rise like the day. I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid. I'll rise up, and I do it 1,000 times again.
Wow. I just love that opening. It just resonates with my soul. Cheryl, you are amazing. Thank you.
No, thank you, thank you, thank you. You're very welcome. Right? You're very, very welcome. So, girl, today, we have to stay on top of what's happening in the world around us. So, before I get to Alec Murdoch, who I've been all morning listening to the trial live, I want to touch a little bit on Shanquella because I want us to remember Shanquella today. Because we haven't been hearing anything at all about Shanquella. It seems as
Yeah.
though the whole thing has just gone dead. So I went to Roland Martin Unfiltered. He usually
Mhm.
keeps all the cases with black women who have died and who have disappeared and stuff alive. He's
Mhm.
very loud about those things. So I went to his channel yesterday and this morning to hear what he had to say. And just as I went there, he was talking about Shankwara
I
with
see.
some other persons on the thing, trying to keep her name alive, right? I made some notes and he said that there are over 800 letters that were sent to the Mexican authorities. They have sent over 800 letters to Mexico. The FBI, which is the US, have said that they have done all they can do for the moment and they're waiting on Mexico. And Mexico takes its time to do everything, even for a traffic ticket, it takes months. They're very slow, especially when it affects their tourism. They're very slow, so they're waiting on things. There was trying to get the attention of President Biden. They said they were trying to really get to Kamala Harris, but President Biden has responded. So he too is saying that he has his ears and eyes open, waiting to see what is going to happen. But the
Right.
consensus is that they can do more because the FBI could find themselves across in Mexico, right? And because there are private people who are going there, and the letters are coming from private citizens who are in this group who are trying to keep her name alive. And
Right.
but the FBI and the authorities are in touch with her family, so they haven't just left the family alone, right? But the question still is the thing. Well, I mean, the question there's a question. The question is why hasn't anybody been arrested? Because they saw who did it. But the thing is, it didn't happen in America. It happened in Mexico. So
Yeah.
they're waiting now on the Mexican authorities to come together with them, and you say it may take some time, but they just want everybody to know that she has not been forgotten and she will not be forgotten. So that was a good thing. She will not be forgotten at all. There's another young lady called Lauren something Smith. I can't remember. She had a two-past surname. Who passed away. I think it was early last year on a Tinder date or a Bumble date. The guy came to her apartment, and next day they found her thing. He said he woke up and met her passed out, and there's no explanation. He was never arrested. It's a strange case, a strange one, a beautiful girl like a model, one of those. And so they are keeping some of those things alive, and that's a good thing because I don't live in America, so I don't know the whole thing. I can only go by what I hear them talk about. So that's what I have to say about Shanquella today, right? So she's not lost, she's not forgotten. They are keeping that very much alive. Leave the kitties alone. So Alex Murdoch, my God. My first thing is I pray that this man did not do this. That's my prayer. I mean, I'm not praying after it's done. It's kind of like wasting a prayer, but I just pray in my heart that he did not do this. There are many. I listen to all the different people talking about it, and they're saying that the defense has a good case because they're talking too much about his financial crimes, which he's not on trial for yet. It is the passing away of his wife and son. And they came up with like too many different timelines, the minutes and the ticking of the timelines or whatever it is, which is not really going in the prosecution favor as far as most of the people on who have been listened to are concerned. And they said, he testified this week. He took this seat, whether his attorneys allowed him or he decided he wanted to do it, but he testified. And they said they thought that would sink him. But apparently, they say now not, because he answered, he stopped his guns, he looked very emotional, and because all of the behavioral people on the panels before were saying that he didn't show the emotion. Even Dr. Phil had an episode about it, and they were looking, and when you look back at it really, it's first when it just happened, when they had him in the police vehicle and they were talking to him, when he kept looking to see the police officer looking at him, it just looked very sketchy to me. He didn't look like somebody that just found something like that. You're talking about your wife and your son in that mess, and he didn't look like somebody who was really the fake cry, the trying to look for tears. It was a whole acting kind of thing, but he could have been in shock. Who knows? The other thing is that he had so much authority in that part of North Carolina where they're from. Because his family just kind of owned the place for so many years, right? In terms of law and everything else. That he literally drove around with a blue flashing light in his vehicle with a sheriff's badge, and he was not a sheriff. They allowed him to do that as an unofficial police. So he literally had the law in his hands.
Yes.
Right? So there are many people who could have done what happened there. But there are many reasons to hate him and his family. Right? And Paul, which is the one who passed away, Paul was the one who drove the boat where the girl fell overboard and then her body was found afterwards, right?
Yes.
And nothing ever became of it. He was due to start, he was supposed to go on trial shortly. And apparently people in the town were like really coming against him because they felt too many things were happening. And he was being very a spoiled brat, drinking underage and driving a boat which he didn't have the license or the authority to be driving at the time. So they wanted him punished.
Right.
Saying is that when he was walking the street, people would punch him and push him and tell him things. So they were very much enemies of their town at that time. So there are many factors that could go into this that if I look at it objectively, that I'm not trying to convict the man. I mean, it really is. When the forensics today was like, oh my goodness, what am I hearing, right? I'm hearing the forensic scientists talking about the brain arrived at the autopsy separate from the rest of him, because this here was blown open. And it was so. And they said the person who did it couldn't be less than 3 or 4 feet away from. Listen, it's gruesome. So to think that this man walked up to his son and did this and blew that out, I want to feel he didn't do it. I want to feel, this is the Christian part of me, I want to feel that he did not do that. There's an enemy that they had, somebody who was upset because he stole all his money. There was a video they played in the court of his last birthday celebration. All his friends were there. They brought a cake out for him. I think it was Paul. It was only the cake. It looked like Paul. He was the younger one. I think he was not fast with the cake, and he was singing, and this guy ran up to him and held him from behind and kissed him on his face. He said that was his best friend, who was also an attorney, and he too just found out of all the million that he embezzled from the firm. So they were all against him, right? So there were all these people who were against him. So the chances are that somebody else could have done it, but then the chances are it could have been him, because he sat in his police car right there on the compound that night. No worries about, but we didn't find the shooter. Let's see. We should be here. Maybe the person is still loose. Where's it? Right? And then there's the issue of a shirt. The shirt he was wearing earlier in the afternoon, that the housekeeper saw him in, was a blue shirt. When he was being questioned, he's wearing a white t-shirt, which means he had time to shower and change his clothes. That shirt was never taken into evidence. The police never asked for it. They didn't look for it. It can be found, as far as what I heard up to a while ago, right? So his shirt has disappeared. So a lot of that points like to him doing something and having enough time to wash his hands, to shower, and all of that kind of thing. And when they were doing the autopsy, they didn't shave the hair of the young guy's head, so that they were saying, the scientists were saying that shaving the hair off would have given them more access to like gun residue and stuff on their skin, and they wouldn't even do that because they all have hair there. They left the hair there. So they made a lot of errors. The police and the authorities, there were a lot of errors, maybe trying to shelter him, because first he was, he was the main suspect from the very beginning, and he's sitting in front of the police car. And the investigative police officer sitting behind him, and his attorney sitting on the side of him. So I don't know, usually you're in the back of a police car when that happens. You can't sit side by side by the investigating officer. So I don't know what happened there. So there's a lot of moving parts in this thing. There's a lot. But that, what I listened to just now there, because I've just been listening to the replays and listening to the people giving their opinions, that I listened to that live this morning. It's still going on. Got to stop to get on here. And that is a lot to take in. I'm looking at his face in the courtroom, and I can't tell. I'm not an expert in body language. But he hasn't, I think he glanced up mostly once or twice, because they were showing x-rays and showing, I guess, the brain and the open head and whatever else they were showing there. And he kept putting his head down. And I can't imagine, even if he did that he could look at that. I can't imagine that. So it's tough. It's a tough one. I know you did some research on it. So
First, let's touch on. I'm gonna touch back on Shanquilla, because in all of this, particularly this case, we think about her parents, as parents ourselves, you and I. This really cuts to the heart that someone would take your child away from you, and to have justice served is one thing. The reality is that mom will never get her child back. And for anyone listening, our hearts, our prayers go out to her parents, her family, her friends, her real friends, her real friends. It's heartbreaking to think that this is not a singular case, that this is not a one-off, that it happens all the time. That is frightening. And so, we just pray for them, because folks, Cheryl and I are praying women. We are women just out here to serve and to bring comfort. We talk about a lot of things, and we're bringing comfort as well, because only God can help her parents, truly. I did listen to a couple things with regard to keeping her case alive. And from what I gathered, there are some technicalities with regard to the distinction between murder and femicide. Two jurisdictions, two totally different jurisdictions, two totally different cultures, as well as a thought expressed that maybe because it is an American on an American killing outside of the territory, that maybe the jurisdiction in which it happened does not, may, not say they don't, but may not give it the level of urgency because they struggle at the hands of the American systems as well. So it's two totally distinct territories. That was an argument being offered up. So it's like, okay, well, your people are keep killing each other. So, what's the big deal?
Be careful about using that word. Don't use
Oh,
that
yes.
word.
Sorry. Yes. Sorry.
Unaliving, passed away.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Unaliving
They want
each
you to
other.
take us off. Yes,
No,
yes.
no, no. We don't want YouTube to take us off. So
So you
unaliving.
apologize with you. You apologize for that, right? Yeah,
You
yeah, yeah.
apologize. But
Yeah.
it's in the justice system, understanding that the justice system is different in different territories. It really is hard, and when you get to sticking points, you can only come back to one true fact, no matter what the differences are. Somebody's child is no longer with them. Somebody's child is no longer with them. And so we continue to pray for Shanquilla's parents and her friends and her family. And that's as much as I can say about that. In the case of Alex Murdoch, it just seems to be so big. There's so many circumstances that are being unearthed, so many situations, the maid who fell down the stairs and is no longer with us. The young girl, the boating accident, no longer with us. Embezzlement. It's just, it almost seems as if it's out of someone's imagination. Like a novel that was written and we are seeing it as a movie. But ladies and gentlemen, this is real life. This is real life. There is so much destruction in this story, and it's not isolated to one family. There's a ripple effect on other families and other lives when there if when alleged embezzlement that impacts thousands of lives, hundreds, thousands of lives, people's ability to continue surviving. um it's just, and you're right, Cheryl. It could it be, I should ask the question, could it be that one person did all this? Or could it be, is this a conspiracy that took all the pieces together and said, we could, we could, we could get this man on having done this to his own family because of what he's allegedly done to other families? It's just, it's a, as we say, a tangled web that has been woven. And can the investigators and the police untie all of these knots? It's left for them to do the work. But as we always say, God does not sleep, and the truth will come out, even if it takes years to happen. It will come out. And I don't know. It's Cheryl, I have to tell you, um, it saddens me to see a territory, a country with so much potential, so much going for it, um, just being challenged in today's environment with so much that is, what's the word I'm looking for? Despairing, destructive. It's just very sad. And at the same time, because the biggest the biggest news on the 24/7 networks is just all of these negative, horrible, awful things. I think too often we we are not shown all of the beautiful things that are happening in that country as well. And there are lots of beautiful things happening in that country. So I just want people to remember that there are always two sides to a coin. And while one may not be, you know, the best things, we don't want to be faced with things that make our stomachs churn every single day. Um, Also know that there are beautiful, positive things that are happening as well. And that's as much as I will say about that case.
Well, what I would say is that the reason why so many things are happening in that country and maybe the rest of the world as well, because they have literally denounced God, right? So when you have a country that if you say God, you're a criminal, everybody wants to cancel you. But if you say something that we know is against God, which we can't talk about it, they're ready to cancel us. So it's just a matter of um, you know, I believe in the Bible. I'm not religious. I always say religion is a mess. Teaches all the wrong things in the Bible. They say things are not even written in the Bible. And the Bible talk about the days, these days that are upon us. So it's just going to get worse. So what we have to do, those of us who know better, is to live better, to always speak our truth around those who are around us, and to spread God's love and word as much as possible. That's what we
Yes.
have to do.
Yes.
There is a third person who involved, and that person who was passed away involved in the murder thing as well. A young guy, something Smith. He was a friend, just a villager, lived around wherever it is.
Right.
And rumor has it that he was in a relationship with the elder Murdoch's son, Buster, right? Whose real name is Richard. I found out from his father talking about it recently. And whatever happened, he was found on the side of the road with a setup, set up to look as though it was a hit and run. There were no tire marks, there was nothing, his shoes were on his feet, so they knew it wasn't really a hit and run.
Okay.
And his parents want answers as well, because he was also
No.
connected to them.
Oh,
So
wow.
this family has done a lot wrong, and this man in particular, this Alex in particular, he seems as though Let's go to the scripture a little bit. Bible always talks about it. Bible talks about in Hebrews 10, the love of money. Now he grew up very rich, very privileged, in a place where he was king. He could have played police and nobody would stop him, right? And every single court case there, he was a prosecutor. He had everything going for him. Money, acres of land, they lived on everything. Everybody looked to them. They were like the thing in that whole. They were like the royal family in England. They live in the castle and everybody's around. They were like that where they're from, right? And I think he was maybe, that's why we have to be careful how we train our children. Maybe too much privilege. Let's be speculating now. And maybe having a little bit too much of everything caused him to lose his thing because he had money. Why would he? And he said he had a drug habit. Okay, opioids. He said he was spending $50,000 a month. $50,000 a month. When 3 point something million dollars missing one way and the next 250,000, that doesn't add up, right? That doesn't add up. Opioids will cost that kind of money, right? So he to me got carried away with his lifestyle and whatever he was doing. Because at the time of the passing away of his wife and son, they were separated. They were not living in the same house. She had left him. I guess because of all of the nonsense, she probably knew all he was doing. She was fed up of him. She left him. He called and asked her to see her that day. And her sister blew down on his stand and she said, she encouraged her to go back and talk to him. Go back and speak to him. That's your husband of so many years. And she feels as though it is her fault what happened to her sister. So that's all we say about that for today. That's all we have to say about that. Now, we did not introduce ourselves. So I'm Cheryl Diane. I'm an international keynote speaker, trainer, author, image professional. And this is
Christine Francois. Hi, everyone. I am a wellness coach, business coach as well, and I am a former banker and corporate communications executive.
right.
That's it.
Wonderful. Yeah, that's it. That's it. No, no, no. And our link trees are connected everywhere. That's how you get in touch with us. We have no sponsors yet, but we're still looking for subscribers. So you'll please subscribe. Tell your friends to come and listen to some sensible conversation, sensible stuff once a week on a Monday, normally at 1 o'clock, but it's always scheduled so you hit the notification bell so you know when we are coming on to have this conversation. Okay? All right. Today's main topic is about this cancel culture. Why did I think about that? Something happened with Don Lemon a couple of days ago.
Oh, Lois.
And let me tell you something. I just can't even understand what all of the hullabaloo is about. And the only person on YouTube who seemed to be thinking what I'm thinking is my girl, Candace Owens, who said, oh my God, I have to defend Don Lemon. Because I don't know if any of you saw the clip. I can show it here because my equipment is not ready for that. Pretty soon I'll be able to show slides, right, and videos. Don Lemon, Nikki Haley is running for, has thrown a hat in the president's race. They all are knocking Joe Biden about his age, how he's so old, and blah, blah, blah. I think it's very disrespectful. You know what I mean? We need our elders. And while it might be time for him to take a rest, maybe. If you feel he's up and alert enough to run for president again, he is the president. He's always spoken in a sort of I speak very quickly, and sometimes I stumble my words. So is it that I am losing is it that I have dementia? I don't think so. I've always spoken like this. So he speaks sometimes, and he kind of like fumbles his words. And he's always told them that as a child, he stuttered a lot. Every time he makes a fumble, man, they will play it over and over and over and over, and they will be on his case. So Nikki Haley decided to declare that he's old and whatever it is she said about him, tralala. That's enough and a whole 10 cents more, right? She said about him. And then she made a comment about people being past the prime. So Don Lemon, maybe shouldn't have said it. Because he has two co-anchors on mornings. He said that she is not young either. Because she's 51. And if you Google, women in their prime is between 20 and maybe about 40. After that, they say, Google said, not him, he said, not me. Google said that you're not in your prime. So what she needs to be careful in talking about people who are not in the prime because it could come back to haunt her. Now, you can go back and listen, the listeners, and listen to all what he said. He never came out and said, Nikki Haley is past her prime, and she shouldn't be running. He did not say that. I heard it like the way I said it just now. Candace Owens heard it that way. And I don't know if anybody else, but everybody else, including some station called Rising. I heard them this morning, a girl called Bria and some other guy. Man, and when they repeat that, I mean, if you didn't hear it, you'll be like, how could Don Lemon say something? You'll be ready to throw a rock at your television set, right? And of all the people that criticize Don Lemon for stepping out of line, it's Tucker Carlson, old Tuckums from Fox News, who says the worst things about everybody else, right? He had the nerve to criticize Don Lemon. And what did CNN do? After everybody started harping for a whole week, a couple of days, talking, but even Whoopi Goldberg had her say. And Whoopi said, but Nikki Haley is not young. She actually said, Nikki Haley is not young. She is past her prime. This is another woman saying that. But nobody asked for her to be cancelled. They want, because I think right now Don Lemon's case, for whatever reason. I think maybe because he was friends with Chris Cuomo and they got rid of him. It's some kind of political thing going on there.
Right.
So CNN bowed to pressure, and the new CEO or CFO, whoever he is, like, looks pretty young. He has asked Don, he asked him a couple of days ago to to take a time off and to go to to formal sensitive training. So we didn't know there was a thing like that, right? He went to formal sensitive training. So he did, but he's back on air, right? He's back on air, and the rumor have it, rumor sources say, according to somebody this morning, those sources are always sketchy. And his female co-workers don't want him on the job. But that's sources, so that could be just old talk, right? But this is
Right.
what Mr. Don Lemmon, this was his apology. And I'm reading because I wrote the whole thing, the entire thing out. I appreciate the opportunity to be back on CNN today. To my network, my colleagues, and our incredible audience, I am sorry. I've heard you, I'm learning from you, and I'm committed to doing better. Right? See you soon. So he bought the pressure too, because he want to work. He need a job. As we say in training, he want to work. That's why bread being buttered. So why are people, I mean, not allowing people to have opinions and are not really, I mean, somebody says something negative is a one thing, but he had an opinion based on what she said. And by the way, my girl has mugs and t-shirts and stuff out for sale right now, past their prime and all kind of things. So she's capitalizing on this little brouhaha that's happening here now. Okay? But my question is, what are people so angry about? What is all this canceling? Martin Luther King marched and lost his life for freedom and freedom of speech. To me, they have pushed it all back because now we can't say anything, right? What's making the news? Dwayne Wade's son, who is now his daughter, is now legalized to change her gender and her name, and it's now legal. So that's in the news and that's uploaded. Christine, go right ahead.
What can I tell you, Cheryl? The world has turned upside down.
Mm-hmm.
When someone can't express themselves and then being misquoted, misunderstood, and that is taken
Deliberately misunderstood.
to destroy someone's ability to earn an income. Then there is always the race card that people could play, and in that territory, it seems, as you said, Martin Luther King, that took me back. One would think that so many years after a gentleman he was unalived for his mission, what he saw as his God-given mission for equality of a people, that they're still fighting that battle up to today. One would think that progress would have taken them beyond. It's just very sad that it's so easy to take people and literally put them through the ringer, toss them about as if their lives, because understand that lives are transformed by hate.
Yeah.
Lives are transformed as well by love and understanding and compassion. Why on God's green earth, if I picked up the phone and I said, I am reading to you now from Google, Cheryl, Google says, how could you now think that is, you know what? Disclaimer. This is a disclaimer. The comments this is all, the disclaimer. The comments made here may not be those of the station because if you're reading from what most people consider to be a viable source of information, why now would you take that? It's like, don't shoot the messenger. Just take the message. It didn't come from me. This is what I'm reading. And you seek to destroy a person. And now there are other articles I saw. He needs to be schooled by a bunch of 50-something-year-old women. Now, really? Come on, people. There are so many serious, critical things happening in the world. Really? Really? You know, I saw the other day, and I know this is jumping off a little bit. I saw the other day, here in Trinidad and Tobago last year, we had a series of an entire season of awful weather where a lot of our brothers and sisters throughout the country flooding. If one flood, two floods, three floods, people were distraught. People lost, in many instances, livelihood,
Yeah.
homes, furniture, ability to send kids to school, and everyone was against the current government because why haven't they done this? Why haven't they done that? Etc. Etc. The normal. It's because it's human nature to blame someone else. And I saw late last week, was it Friday, that New Zealand had experienced first a cyclone and then is it a 7 or 6 point something magnitude earthquake. 3,000 people were missing, etc. And the flooding pretty much looked like exactly what we had experienced. And how can, and with a new prime minister as well, a very new prime minister. So, when I think about all of these things, I think about here in Trinidad and Tobago. I think about what we're going through, our brothers and sisters throughout the country. I think about the impact of environmental changes, and I look at what's happening in different parts of the world, and then you juxtapose that with Don Lemon, and you wonder what on earth is going on, folks. And this is just my perspective. It may not be Cheryl's, but I will say this: we have a lot of work to do in this world so that our kids and our grandkids and our generations will survive what's happening. There are big issues. And taking what this newscaster said out of context to destroy his life, why? That's just my question. Why?
Yep.
That's
Yep.
that's my 5-10 cents on this on this. And anyone else who thinks that ripping someone to shreds because they are in a high profile position, ripping them to shreds makes the person doing the ripping any better. What does it bring to you? How does that elevate your spirit, your soul, your ability to lead a nation? Is that what you're showing us you are capable of? Is that the kind of leadership that you will be? Now, that's very telling, I have to tell you. That's very telling because if in this particular situation right now, when you are not the leader of the free world, that tells us a lot about your character, doesn't it? What kind of leader is that? The kind of leadership style that you are going to bestow upon your entire nation, which, by the way, is a multicultural nation? Just a question for people to consider.
Yep. It's a serious thing. The thing
It
is,
is.
a lot of it is where the world is today. It's competition, jealousy. I'm just trying to because some of the people who are they're happy and saying all kinds of things. They're just looking for sensation. What I
Yeah.
realized, see, like even that talk last week about the Kate and William going to divorce and separated. People just want to see hate. They don't want to know that they're together and they're good. They don't want to hear it at all. For me, time, the plot, oh, they're getting married, oh, they're engaged. But when they break up, that is news all over the place. So ugliness is what they try, what is thriving for and what is thriving on, right? Anything that's good, they don't want to hear about it. Our channel here will struggle to get subscribers because guess what? We ain't talking nastiness. We're not going in a certain direction. We're trying to stay on the up and up, right? And be sensible about what we're saying. I'm talking about, see my face frozen there, so I don't know what's going on with the internet. Both of us are
I'm
frozen.
seeing you perfectly well.
Okay, I'll just continue speaking because you frozen too. I know
Yes.
what's going on my side. Anyway, right? But the thing is, I'm moving again. Oh, finally, yes. Whatever. Yeah, but the thing about it is that hate is what is selling these days. Anything negative that you have to say is what people want to hear. If I come on here and just ill speak everybody, I'll probably have thousands of subscribers by now. Right? A young lady in Poland jumped online recently and said she thinks she was Madeleine McCann, the little girl who was abducted, I think, how many, 11 years ago, 16 years ago, whatever, how many years ago, when she went on a vacation with her family. And in a matter of days, she had over 1 million viewers, 1 million subscribers on her channel. Okay? So you have to do something like that. Take your clothes off, be really awful, say ugly things, spread propaganda, that kind of thing. And then you will get people to think. Once you've been sensible, and God forbid you talk about God and don't call him any kind of strange thing like no high flower and high power, no kind, and you say God Almighty, God who created the heaven and the earth, but then it's going to be a crawl. But I am willing to crawl because God will bless me for not going in that direction. There's enough hate in the world. I don't need to add to that. I don't need to be a contributor to that kind of a thing at all. Right? At all. Don Lemmon will survive. Right? He belongs to a community that look after each other. Right? I didn't know he was 56. He looks very good. I didn't know that was his age. But he looks really good. His skin is good. He looks good, right? So, I mean, he belongs to a community that will look after him. So thank God
Yes.
for that, right? But the others who just under some conversation and the name of the program was Rising with a thing, and I'm like, who? I never even heard about that station, but they're going on and on and on and on. I guess because I googled Don Lemmon, that station came up as well. So they were on and on
Right.
and on this morning, right? So
Right.
so it's just a whole lot of people who want to be, trying to be, feel that if they follow the leader, as one of our soca artists was saying, follow the leader, they follow the
Right.
leader, they remain popular and they'll make money. Sensible and positive does not find success very easily in the world we're living in today. You have to be controversial, negative, nasty, and all the things that added onto that. Once you hold your head up high and you say, I don't understand Cardi B. She's not a role model for my daughter. Really, I don't want her to be a role model for my daughter. I'm glad she's no longer, let me say it right. I heard somebody say that I'm glad she's no longer a closed challenged dancer. You hear what I say? She's no longer a closed clothing challenged dancer. She's now a superstar. She has money. I am glad for her. Very glad. And I mean that. But there's something called growth in life. And you have to grow. So you come out of that environment. Can afford to be somebody. But she's still there. Her mentality and her behavior tells me she's still there. And that's why they wouldn't understand Rihanna getting on stage and just singing her song without taking her clothes off and without twerking. They can't understand that. She didn't do enough for them. But they feel that's the only way to go. because she has to follow us. And I'm glad for Cardi B. Let me tell you something. I have taken myself and tried to listen to the woman. I tried. I was like, okay, maybe it's me. Let me hear what she's saying. And I was like, okay, whatever. Didn't understand anything. Couldn't deal with the dancing, couldn't deal with the attitude, couldn't deal with the language, the obscenity. Every other word is bleep, 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 bleep. Because she doesn't know the English language and maybe the only word she used is learn besides maybe I love you is that word. That word. So it keeps coming out all the time. And my heart goes out to her, right? And I will always go back to what my father taught me. Money and the mansions mean nothing. Send me to the man who lives in a little house with one room and an outhouse, but he has integrity and he's upstanding. I will deal with that person. People look too much at material things. That we all of us, every last one of us on this earth, one day we'll close our eyes and leave that right there. Yet we fight for it and we do all kind of wrong things to do it. And don't realize that one day we're not going to be here. And that's going to be there. My pass on to somebody else, or there may be a fire, there may be something. It could disappear in a blink of an eye. Those are material things. But the world has put those things on top. When you have all that, like Jen Shaw, or Shah, who's going to jail just now, going to prison just now for all her fraud, the mansion was leased. Who knew? The cars, she owned none of them. The jewelry were all fake with fancy tags on them. So what was she doing? She was, the money she was embezzling from people, using it to impress others, not investing in herself. So she comes out of prison. I hope somebody give her a home to live in. Because only, I think, 6.5 years she's going for. Right? So I hope she has a home, I hope she has some money somewhere. Because you don't do that kind of thing. And your whole life and you own nothing. You understand what I'm saying, Christine? You own nothing.
Yes.
You own nothing. So the whole thing is a show. So every day I'm taking you out to dinner. I'm driving a Mercedes Benz. I have a Maserati. I have this. I have that. When something happens now, you realize all the cars are leased. The house I'm living in is not mine. In the clothes I wear, in the jewelry I wear, not even my own. Go figure. You understand? People need to stop and think. The other little OnlyFans one who was making all those millions, where is she today? In prison. Right? Because the money got to her head, with all the proper training and proper shifting on the mindset, she took the man's life. She unalived him, boyfriend, who was stupid over her for whatever reason. After all the ABUSC she passed on to him, he was stupid over. So let me tell you something. My thing is, I would stick to my gun. I will live in a smaller house and drive a simple car, working car, good car, have good food to eat every day, and make sure when I get up in the mornings, I have a place where I can praise and worship my God, and I can pray and I can walk all the street, and nobody not going to arrest me for doing something illegal to get money. I'm willing to get up on mornings and work, and I know you work late at nights. Up to yes, it's Sunday to Sunday you're working. You need to take a day off, okay? But Sunday to Sunday you're working, right? Because the Bible said, if a man doesn't work, he shouldn't eat. That's written in the word of God, you know. It also said money answers to all things. But it also says that the love of money is the root of all evil. So we need to be careful where we put in ourselves. We know we need to work. We don't need to kill ourselves either, right? Because we need the money to answer the things that we need to answer this earth. But we also don't need to love it enough to find ourselves falling into issues like Alex Murdoch. Because clearly, he was born with not one, not two, not three, not four. I don't know how many gold spoons in his mouth. And yet still, he found himself embezzling money and becoming a big thief and one of the world's biggest liars.
Wow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I just found something I wanted to share. And it
Sure.
comes back to the whole issue of the cancel culture. Um, it says here, it's a quotation, and it says, "It is never wise to seek or wish for another's misfortune. If malice or envy were tangible and had a shape, it would be the shape of a boomerang.
Yep. Yep. And that is so right. Because I always I don't know how people feel about it. But because I don't believe God punishes people, but I believe that things come back to you. Because when you read the book of Job, God said Job was a man after his own heart. But because of things that Job didn't thought, he went through a long line, lost his family, lost his fortune, lost everything before he came back, right? And it wasn't because God didn't love him. God said he's a man after his own heart. You need to read the Bible and stop quoting one-line scriptures and stop being all in the air about it and stop being afraid to talk about God. They need to go back and read scriptures. When you take a man's bread and butter out of his mouth, I'll be so afraid I might not sleep again ever if I do that to somebody. I ain't doing that to nobody. Okay? I would not be the one to make somebody lose their bread and butter. Because that will have a boomerang effect. It will come right back to you. It's coming right. People say karma. Some say, what was the other terms they use about that? Boomerang effect. Your mother mom will say, how you make up the bed, that's how you lie in it. I mean,
Yes.
different things. There are different things that can happen to you. So you got to be careful, right? Because if you listen to that thing objectively, you don't have to like Don Lemmon. He's not one of my favorite people on things, not really. But the thing about it is that he didn't say what they said. They just, and one person said, and everybody just went with it. He needs to be fired, fired Don Lemmon. I'm like, really? So I listened to it a few times because I'm like, okay, all right. Yeah. And I know you want to talk about that drug. I couldn't listen. I couldn't view the video.
It's
So
been taken down. It's been taken down.
But you saw it, right?
I did see it.
I suppose you
And
could touch it a little bit. They could, just keep the word safe, but you could touch it a little bit.
yeah, because it is. I'm just looking back for the video, and what they were saying is it's a new drug that's turning people into zombies in North America, and it's a combination of fentanyl. I'm always struggling with that word, fentanyl, and
Fentanyl.
another.
It's
Yes.
fentanyl. Right.
And another drug, and the what happens to the persons. I just glimpsed through it. I saw it, and I always think when we see trends happening that seek to destroy our young people, that we need to bring it to people's attention, because fentanyl is one of those drugs where a number of young people are no longer with us, because either they took it not knowing that that is what it was, because it's something else is laced with it. And now this one, which has been paired with that particular drug, and the combination, based on the video, they're saying it is skin eating. So it is actually eating away at people's skin. You're seeing big, just a horrible defacing of the human body by
Right.
this combination and other things. So, folks, we always will want to alert you. Um, Talk to your kids, talk to your children about the dangers that are out there. I remember back in this, I was born in the 60s. So somewhere in the late 60s, no, late 70s, early 80s, we back in the 60s, I think that was the time, I might be wrong, with Woodstock and those times with, a lot of young people were using, hallucinogenics and stuff like that. It was a different time, and in these times, who knows why people would pair different things together, but to destroy young lives. And then there are older people too, also, taking these chemicals to destroy people's lives, and to see such destruction is heartbreaking. So, we just want to bring that to your attention. Talk to your kids. There is absolutely no reason for them to be going off in that tangent. We need to be more open about teaching our young people to discuss, really to air their feelings in a respectful way. Seek help. There are many clinical psychologists and psychiatrists out there who can help our families talk, having conversations, open communication, allowing our kids to be able to speak, and to, most importantly, to be heard, so that, God willing, they don't seek to drown out whatever they're feeling with those chemicals and then run the risk of absolute annihilation. That's it. I'm sorry that you weren't able to see it. It just popped over
Yeah.
on the weekend, and I was shocked because when you told me you couldn't see it, I looked for it again, and then it was gone.
Yeah. That it came out that the video is not as it's not something whatever.
Not
But
available in
was
this
not available,
territory.
right? I sent a
Yeah.
screenshot of what it said to
Yes.
me. Because I wanted
Yes.
to look at it before we want to talk about it today. But let me tell you
Mhm.
something. All we can say is to say no to drugs. We have to go back to the old mantra of say no to drugs.
Adage. Yes.
It is going to happen over and over because it is like apart from it being a thrill-seeking thing, it is now everything's now competition. So if everybody doing it, I don't want to be left out, right? If everybody, and then their parents and their parents. That's all I'll say about that. And unfortunately, people with the opioid problem, a lot of people become ill, and with the medication that they give to them. That's why we have to be careful we're taking. I'm not a person who likes to take medicine at all. I'm telling people the truth. To get me to swallow a pill, let me tell you something, is the hardest thing in the world. Because I know that people can become very addicted to regular medicine. The opioids are a medicine that people take for different things. And I know people who every day they're taking every day they're taking the meds. Not me. I am not doing that. There is always a way around it. Exercise, change your eating pattern, do things. You can do things. I'm not saying that medicine is not necessary, but I'm saying you need to be careful with our intake of it. And that's all I have to say about that. Okay, say no to drugs. Right? This fentanyl has been in anything. Apparently, it's been added to a lot of different things, and a lot of people have they have been unalive, passing away, and it become like almost like the norm now. So that's it for me.
Cheryl, let me just add here. Now, the opioids initially, it's for severe pain. And of course, it's just people using it out of context. But shockingly, as of February 2022, and it says here in a report, harvard.edu says without urgent intervention, 1.2 million people in the US and Canada will pass away unalive from opioid overdoses by the end of the decade, in addition to the more than 600,000 who have already been unalived since 1999. So it is considered a healthcare crisis.
Because Christine, if I want to add, I could add to that. I think, me personally think, a lot of doctors have become very lazy. Every time something hurts you, they pack you up with medicine. You know how many people I know who have gone the natural way and have gotten rid of things like rheumatoid arthritis and stuff? With exercise, change of a diet and all that, I've gotten rid of, maybe not gotten rid of diabetes altogether, but controlled it. But there's some doctors they pile up with medicine, so you become dependent on it. And remember, everybody's body is this is my feeling, this speculation, I'm not a doctor. I think everybody's constitution is different. So some people could take the medicine and come off it. And there's some people who become absolutely dependent on it. And then they
Yeah.
add things. I think that's when the problem
Predis-
steps in.
yeah,
It's not that you
predisposed.
shouldn't take the medicine doctor give to you. But I'm saying I think some of the doctors, and that's why they're so afraid of naturopathic doctors, because a lot of them will put their patients on herbs and stuff and help them to feel better rather than go way up all this amount of drugs. I tell you, I pray to God every day that I become a nice old lady like Rita Moreno. I look at her interview yesterday with Brady, 80 for Brady, whatever in the show. She's
Yes.
90. Right? Look at this lady. Still dancing, look 90. Right? Even though she taking a little medication for a little bone thing, she ain't taking plenty of medicine. She could be dancing like that. I want to be like Sally Field. I want to be like Jane Fonda. Let me be like these nice old ladies in the 80s and stuff, 70s and 80s and stuff, who, even though they may have to take a little something, but they're not on any opioid that I know of. So they're still coherent and they can still act. I want to be like, also, what's her name? Florence, Marla Gibbs, Tommy Jeffersons. Right?
Yes.
91. And she said, let me tell you all something. I am 30 years old. I felt that was my best year. And you know what? I took myself back there and I'm vibrating right there. So that's the way to go. Okay? I'm going to vibrate right. That's what's my best year. You know what? That's a good attitude to have. It's a good
Yes, it
attitude.
is.
It's a good attitude. Right? So there you go. Ladies and gentlemen who would listen to this stream, I'm asking you all again to subscribe. And when you subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know when we are on. But there's somebody who comes on every week. Spend a couple of minutes and just leave. There's always this one comes on all the time, boop, and just disappears. Doesn't stay till the end. So there's somebody checking us out. I hope it's YouTube people checking us out to see how they can promote our little show that we have here. This is a good show. We have constructive conversation. Nothing, we're not going to go sensation, we're not going to be bad talking anybody, and we're not going to be putting anybody down. And we're certainly not going to be obscene. We're going to try our best to keep the language where YouTube will accept us because we know they are particular. And we don't use that kind of language anyway. That's not part of our vocabulary. That's why Christine is here. If Christine was that kind of person, trust me, she would not be my Louise to tell. She would not be Louise to my Thelma. She would not. She would not be here with me. Right? It would be somebody else or maybe myself by myself because that is something I do not tolerate. I think that people use obscene language all the time or intermittently between their thing. I think they have other issues and they don't understand the English language is so vast and wide.
And
And
beautiful.
maybe you can learn to speak French, or do like me and learn to say good morning in different languages. I can say good morning, buenos
Buenos
dias,
dias.
bonjour,
Bonjour.
good morning, good night, right? I could say that in a couple languages, right? So I went English, good morning, buenos dias, Spanish, bonjour, French, good morning, I'll say it again, good morning, that's Dutch, and good night, that's Turkish for good morning. So I can say those things. Learn a different language.
Nice.
Learn a different language. Learn a different language. And you know what I found? The more mature I become, the more open I'm to learning these things. Sometimes I don't want to learn anything else. But now, just by looking at my little TV shows and stuff, I have learned to say certain things, and I can say certain things in certain language. I could even pass a class if I want to, but I wouldn't, because that's not my thing. Because I've learned something. So, Christine, thank you for being here. As we close off, as usual, folks, go to our link tree and connect with us. And remember, 13th of May 2020 for the locals, Becoming Her, the conference. It is going to be at the Cascadia Hotel from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. It's a full VIP experience. You don't want to miss that. There's nothing you can do with that time. There's nothing, the value you'll get for that time you'll be there, is what I'm trying to say, can't be compared. So, registration will be out soon. March is just around the corner, right there. And I will start
Yes.
marketing and you all can start registering because we're keeping the room, even though I wouldn't have a mask mandate in there, people can wear whatever they want if they want to. I don't want to have the room with more than 120 persons. When we get to that number, I'm capping it so people have their space to sit and be comfortable. Okay? So when I put it out, be quick to the draw. I'll see you all again next week. Christy and I will see you all again next week. Same time, same channel.